Ladies and gentlemen, what is up and welcome today to a tips and tricks video for Road to the Labyrinth of Legends Chapter 4 in 2018. We have had so many requests for an updated guide, so I was like, today's the day. We're going to muscle through it on the free-to-play account, have all of the fights fresh in mind, and then do a tips and tricks video. But before we get into all the fights and stuff, I want to give my biggest piece of advice about when is the right time to do Road to the Labyrinth of Legends. And I think it's when you've done 3 things. So the first thing is kill the Collector, because that is a huge priority in Marvel Contest of Champions and substantially easier getting to the Collector. And then you want to make sure you've got uncollected 100% in terms of the monthly event on farm every single month, because the rewards for that are 10, 20 times the rewards for Road to the Labyrinth of Legends Chapter 4, because really the rewards are very, very outdated for this, and a lot of people, mainly, they just use it for a stepping stone for Labyrinth of Legends. And the final thing, ideally, I think completing Act 5, getting the first completion on that and getting all the rewards and T4CC to really juice up a lot of your characters. I think as well that is easier than Road to the Labyrinth of Legends, and this is coming from the perspective of somebody that has done all of this content and progressed through it in the last month or so. So yeah, Road to the Labyrinth of Legends Chapter 4 is a very, very late endgame priority, and I think in the current state of the game, it's only really worth thinking about when you're getting around to the time of going to the Labyrinth of Legends, because it is a massive utility puzzle for the most of it. There are lots of all sorts of interesting and odd encounters to fight, and we're gonna talk you through some of the hardest ones and the various options for dealing with it using this absolutely wonderful infographic created just over a year ago to Regal Empire by OG Wolves. So yeah, massive shout out to OG Wolves there. So yeah, it has six chapters, and I would say the first two aren't too bad to deal with, and then the next two, 3 and 4, they get substantially more difficult, and then 5 and 6, they're a little bit of a pain. But I most struggled today on chapters 3 and 4, mainly because I didn't really have a super great power control option. But there are kind of 3 common nodes that you're going to see throughout Road to Labyrinth Chapter 4. So you got Spiked Armor, you also have Spiked, and also a node called Safeguard. So Spiked Armor, essentially the way that this node functions is Spiked Armor further provides protection when struck by a critical hit, increasing this champion's physical resistance by 20% for 5 seconds. Additionally, 6% attack as physical damage is dealt back to the opponent when this triggers. So essentially on Spiked Armor, whenever you crit, you're going to take 6% of your opponent's attack. Now, the kind of 3 ways to deal with this, you have regeneration. You can use a character like Wolverine and heal some of it back. You have ability accuracy reduction to potentially prevent Spiked Armors, coming back in the future and essentially lowering the chance that it's going to proc. And then you have Crossbones, who's a character that does not have any critical hits, so he's not going to take any Spiked Armor damage at all. And you can also use champions like Dr. Voodoo if you want, or Scarlet Witch or Magic if you just want to tank through these fights and turn a lot of that stuff by nullifying it into kind of additional damage there. So that is a potential strategy for dealing with Spiked Armor. But yeah, we start off in Chapter 4, Round 1. So you start off, you got an unstunnable Black Panther Civil War with Spiked Armor. Dude's a little bit of a pain in the ass, but you just got to bait those heavy attacks, bait the special 1, and he should fall relatively easily, but he's a really good fight to practice on for fighting Black Panther Civil Wars. Then you've got a Magneto Marvel Now with Enhanced Special 1, Enhanced Special 2, so you just need to be aware of unblockable specials on that, and also that Spiked Armor is in every single fight in this first one. And you have 3 fairly easy fights, not really too much to worry about on the Vision, the Black Bolt, the 4 Jane Foster. 4 Jane Foster has increased power gain, and Black Bolt has unblockable special too, but really it's nothing too much of concern. Then fight number 6 is Unstunnable Venom Paw. He can be a little bit of a pain. And then you have Spider-Man Classic and Nightcrawler, who have all abilities trigger 20% more often, so they're going to evade significantly more, and also additional crit rate and crit damage between both of the fights. fights. So yeah, if you get hit, you're going to take quite a bit of damage. So yeah, you want to use evade countering champions like Archangel, Iceman are pretty good for those fights, but because they're both stunnable, you know, you can just parry free hits and use pretty much any champion that you like for either one of the fights, if you can kind of get into the flow of that. So chapter 4 round 1, you know, it's not too bad if you can get past the spiked armor and the health of opponents. You know, it isn't getting too ridiculous yet. So then we go into round 2, where you've got Safeguard. So Safeguard is the node that prevents champions from losing more than 1% health from a single source. So essentially caps the damage from a single hit at 1% of their maximum health, which these boys, they're pretty beefed up, anywhere between about 58,000 to 151,000 with a Thanos. So yeah, ability accuracy reduction is a way that you can get around Safeguard, but because these fights are so big, I wouldn't worry too much about Safeguard. Just bring champions that are kind of good for the various matchups here, and the stuff that you need to, you know, plan for. You need to bring some sort of poison immune solution for Abomination, Rocket Raccoon, Black Widow, Old Man Logan. You can use pretty much anyone for those fights. Black Widow is stun immune, Old Man Logan has a little bit more power gain. You'll also want to bring some sort of ability accuracy reduction solution for Electro, who has unblockable special 1. So ideally like a Blade or a Crossbones or an Electro, you can debuff this Electro. So like he's pretty easy to get down, providing, you know, you have the right ability accuracy reduction champion. And then you've got Juggernaut up next. You know, you can bring a power control champion, got unblockable special 1, unblockable special 2. Somebody like a Blade, if you have him, is just perfect for this. Scarlet Witch is pretty good as well. Magic, if you just want to keep him in the corner and just keep shredding on him. And then after Juggernaut, you've got a Groot, who is stun immune and has Safeguard. This Groot's a little bit of a tank, but if you've got like a Scarlet Witch and Magic, really just any, honestly, like any champion will work for this Groot. But you could use a champion like Hyperion if you maybe want to sneak some additional damage in with the Incinerate, if your Hyperion is really stacked. But it's just a case of like any champion will work for that group, so it's not too bad. And then finally you have a pretty easy Thanos. He's stunnable, has kinetic reactor, so if he attacks you while you're blocking, he's going to generate a little bit of power. But in all honesty, he's pretty easy to deal with. With Thanos, it's always just bait out the special 1 and evade that, and once you get used to the timing on that, that is super straightforward. Then we got chapter 4 round 3, so which is where stuff gets really annoying, and this is the big kind of power control chapter. This is the massive theme of the chapter. So you need very fast, effective power control, and some like really interesting options here that you can use, like Magic is an MVP, Luke Cage to potentially tank multiple special freeze. Also Hawkeye, you've got Stark and Aunt Spider-Man, you can use a bit of Dr. Octopus, maybe a bit of Dr. Voodoo, some Vision. Essentially just power controllers is the big theme of this one. So yeah, Iron Patriot, just to preface this, every single opponent has a node called Spite, which is essentially while the opponent has any buff active, it will give the opponent that you're fighting 18% of their power every single second, and also makes their special attacks unblockable. So yeah, you need to be very very aware of that, because if you dash back and you're triggering dexterity, that's going to provide your opponent with spite there. But if you have a good power control champion, hey, it can be not too much of a problem, but still there are some massive pains here. So the Iron Patriot, he starts with 1 bar of power, he's all or nothing, so you need a very quick and immediate power control solution to him. I used Stark and Aunt Spider-Man earlier, it didn't work too great, but you know, it worked okay. It worked okay, but somebody like Hawkeye, Magic, Luke Cage, Vision, like fantastic for this kind of fight. And then you got Drax, he's got Strike Back, so you need to be aware of that in the Spike combo, because that could put you in some tricky situations, but essentially power control. Moon Knight, Enhanced Special 1 and Special 1 Bias, lots of those firing off. As long as you can like get back and evade the Special 1, and don't try to go in after he, you know, finishes the Special 1, because you don't have time for that in, you'll be alright. All or Nothing Doctor Strange, who is stun immune. So yeah, you can use Luke Cage is great for this fight if you get 4 stacks of exhaustion from the special free, because you can actually start reversing his power gain after that. I imagine Void as well. I don't know if Void would be a little bit too slow for this. But yeah, works quite well there. But any power control champion, play fairly aggressively like Doctor Strange. You know, there are quite a few solutions out there in the power control. And then we have Cyclops Blue Team, who has combo shield and increases power gain by 50%. He's not too bad to deal with, a lot of evading the special 1 and evading the special 2, but if you have a power control champion to shut him down, hey, you are golden there. And then you got Symbiote Spider-Man, who is a massive pain in the ass. All buffs for this champion last 40% longer, and he's immune to the effects of stun. So yeah, ideally you want to just get a magic rail on him in the corner, or just any champion that can keep his power absolutely nothing and just keep him in the corner so that he's not getting that evade buff from his special attack. Then you got Red Hulk, super easy to deal with, just has more attack and energy resistance. So yeah, just fight him normally, bait out the special 1, rinse that boy. And then finally you got Nightcrawler, the second one, who again can be stunned. And all abilities trigger 20% more often, so he's going to have more evades on him. But really just any champion that can, you know, shut down his evade. Maybe bring like an Archangel or an Iceman, or really just any character like free hits, parry, and you're sorted. Parry, free hits, and you're sorted there. So yeah, that's not too bad. And then we go Chapter 4, Round 4, which has some very annoying fights you need to be a little bit prepared for. So you got Spiked Armor Kamala Khan, and every single opponent in Round 4 has Spiked Armor here. So Kamala Khan, yeah, she's not really too much to worry about, fairly standard there. We got Punisher, who is an absolutely awful fight. So you got Starburst, you've got Spiked Armor as well. So you can use a Wolverine, you can use Magic. Magic apparently is one of the favorite options when awakened for Punisher. Just get the special 2, lock him in the corner, so you don't need to worry about the special attacks as well, because they're a bit of a pain on Punisher. But yeah, the Starburst, the Spiked Armor, and the special attacks combined really do make this guy one of the worst fights in Road to the Labyrinth, so just be prepared that fight is really going to suck, and you're probably going to lose a couple of champions. It took me like 2... what was it? It took my Blade and also my Scarlet Witch, and then I finished them off on my Ghost Rider. So yeah, I had to use a few revives after that fight. Then you got Superior Iron Man, who doesn't really have anything too special going on there. Just, again, the theme is kind of Spiked Armor. A lot of value there potentially for Dr. Voodoo. War Machine, a very similar scenario. Bog standard fight there. Scarlet Witch just has an unblockable special 1 and increased crit rate and damage, so don't get hit or you'll start getting wrecked there. Then we have Yellow Jacket, enhanced special 1, so you just need to make sure that you are relatively confident at evading Yellow Jacket special 1, or you bring some sort of power control option there. And then we have one of the kind of challenges, which is the stun immune all or nothing Wolverine. So yeah, ideally you want to bring like Magic, just has so much MVP use when it comes to this, but somebody like Stark Enhanced Spider-Man. I tried out Yondu for Wolverine, didn't really work too well. But yeah, any kind of power control option is very immediately effective. But you can just zerg through. If you bring some very strong damage champions, bring a Scarlet Witch. Dr. Voodoo as well is able to get through this fight. Because, you know, you can power control, but yeah, just power control champions, or really high bursty damage champions, and a few revives there are the way to go around the Wolverine. Then finally you have, again, another kinetic reactor Thanos, but again, be aware of the Spiked Armor here. That's going to be chipping your health away. But yeah, Blade's great to use against Thanos, man. He's so good there. But yeah, then we go on to Chapter 4, Round 5. And there are a couple of, well, I'd say like 3 tricky fights to keep in mind. And the first one, which you can infinitely practice on, is the Rhino, who is completely immune to debuff effects and also has Safeguard. Every single fight in this round has Safeguard. So Rhino, you can use somebody like Captain America or somebody with very high block. You could use a Blade. Blade works great for him, but essentially on Rhino, the 2 ins that you get are going to be from evading special attacks. So ideally, you want to play off and get him using as many special ones as possible, and also baiting out heavy attacks. You just need to be very aware and on the lookout for whenever his charge goes unstoppable and can break through your block. I think it's like, yeah, it's a block, you know, the block breaking one when the purple message comes out. So you need to be a little bit careful of that. The Rhino's a bit of a pain in the ass, but hey, you know, he's the first opponent. You can fight him quite a bit. So that's really, really awesome there. Then you have Guillotine, super easy to fight, nothing too special there. Superior Iron Man. Not much going on at all. Enhanced Special 1, fairly standard Venom, fairly standard Daredevil, fairly standard Storm. So yeah, quite a few easy fights after that Rhino. And then you have a bit of an annoying Ultron who has 100% increased power gain. And he's also immune to the effects of stun if you have Medusa. She's a godsend for this fight. She's so incredibly good. But if not, just a really high damage output champion that can just keep Ultron on the ball and keep going. He's going to have Safeguard. So yeah, Hyperion is very, very valuable, but any champion that's just constantly hitting that kind of upper limit of the safeguard damage, because he does have like 154,000 health, so he has a good chunk of the safeguard damage there. But Blade as well will work very, very well for Ultron. There are quite a few solutions there, but it's essentially stay alive long enough to either, you know, kind of cancel out the regeneration or damage through it, but it's just the 50 and 25% thresholds. You need to be aware of that regeneration, and because you can't stun him, you can't cancel out him. But yeah, potentially heal block champions as well could be good for this fight. If you wanted to bring like a Yondu, a Dr. Octopus, siphon some of that healing, you know, they have some value there. Or Hood if you wanted to stagger. So I'm just, you know, trying to lay out a few solutions for that Ultron, because I know he's a problem for a few people there. Then finally you have a Nightcrawler, and if you've got Archangel, again, you are laughing with all these Nightcrawlers, man. It's just enhanced evade, safeguard, yeah, fairly standard, pretty much like just a bit more of a difficult version of the Nightcrawlers that you've already fought the last 2 times. And then finally you have round 6, where there are a few pain in the ass things, and the node, it alternates from fight to fight, so it's not the you know, consistent like it's been in the previous one. So first off, you have a Superior Iron Man with spiked armor. This dude isn't too bad to deal with at all. He's fairly standard. The only thing is really spiked armor. And then you've got Abomination with Safeguard, so you ideally want to bring a poison immune champion for Abomination, and that's something essential you should build into your team. You've got a spiked Cyclops, so fairly similar to the one that you fought in round 3. Again, you could pretty much use any champion, but if you got a power control one, or Stocking on Spider-Man works really, really good for this Cyclops. So yeah, he's not too bad at all. Then you got Rocket Raccoon to deal with. Safeguard, Unblockable Special 1, Unblockable Special 2, super easy to rinse through with pretty much any champion, not too much special there. We have Venom Paul, who is stun immune and also has Spite. This dude can be a little bit of a pain. You can bring a power control champion, you can bring a Blade, depends how you want to handle him. But yeah, Scarlet Witch is also pretty good for dealing with that Venom Paul as well. Then we have Black Panther Civil War, who is, again, pretty much like the one that you fought in the very first chapter there. So, you know, if you got wrecked by him, like, have a little bit more practice before you go into the final one, because this is essentially like the one you fought first off, but then like double in terms of the stats. And this guy is stun immune and has spiked armor. Again, pretty much the exact same fight that you fought right at the beginning, but he has like double the stats, so it's twice as hard in comparison. And then you have a Scarlet Witch with Spite, who can be a little bit of a pain in the ass. Again, very good value for poison immune characters against the Scarlet Witch, because she has such insane stats. The poison off her is going to hit very hard. But she is Spite, and that's kind of the big thing to be aware of when fighting her. Try not to get her, push her to the special 3. You're going to have some bad combos with like Spite and also her power gain. Really screwing you over sometimes on that Scarlet Witch. And then finally you have the final Thanos, who, you know, if you've got a good practice and the first 2 Thanos fights went well, this one is slightly more difficult because he's completely immune to any detrimental status effects, so immune to any debuff, so you can't parry him. But you really just want to try your best to get into this rotation of like baiting out the special 1 and then just rinsing and repeating that as much as possible. So yeah, I wouldn't suggest any power control champions there, just like high damage output champions that can consistently get into his special 1 and you know, take some blocked hits if you don't feel confident intercepting, to build up his power, because again, he does have kinetic reactor, so any blocked hits, like he's gaining like full power as if he would have landed a hit hit. So that's something you can do there. Maybe like a Captain America, I don't know, might be valuable for some people that don't feel super comfortable there. But I used Scarlet Witch, and she worked absolutely fine for dealing with that Thanos. But really, any good damage output champion, like once you get to that level is what you need, really. Ideally somebody with regeneration as well to help out, but hey, Scarlet Witch, she's just perfect, man. Perfect for Road to Labyrinth, along with Blade. I think, yeah, playing today like Medusa, Blade, Stark-Aunt Spider-Man, and Luke Cage were really, really some of my MVPs. They did some heavy lifting today. Managed to do it in 4 team revives, and I think it's 3 single revives. Use some 10% boost here and there. But yeah, you might want to consider, you know, using 20% boost before some of the more difficult fights that you have to encounter. But again, I think the difficulty and how much you struggle in Road to the Labyrinth of Legends is going to vary greatly depending on your roster, because there are so many different challenges throughout the Road to the Labyrinth of Legends, and it's just kind of being savvy enough to go through this and be like, okay, like what is going to work in my roster to deal with this node. So it's always a good idea to have this spreadsheet handy when you're going through it, and a link to it again will be in the description of this video, along with the run that I did earlier on my free-to-play account. So if you want to, you know, watch somebody doing it in real time and trying to figure all this stuff out, you know, I made a ton of mistakes earlier, but yeah, we learned some fantastic lessons for sure, but that will be in the description of this video. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully today's Road to the Labyrinth of Legends updated guide and walkthrough and tips and tricks has helped you out. If you did, feel free to leave a like on the video, that'd be greatly appreciated. Apart from that, thank you very much for watching, take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.